Good morning, friends. This is Alex and Matei, and we welcome you to another episode of DAOnauts, Journey into Web3. In case you missed last week's episode, we discussed how you can become a pro airdrop hunter. So, in case you missed it, go ahead and check that out. Maybe leave a like in the comments, tell us how we did. And before we dive into today's subject, we would like to ask for a like and subscribe. So, without further ado, let's talk about the five most important skills that every DAO contributor must master, at least according to an article. So the first one on the list is communication. So before I share my opinion, what is your take on this, Matej? Do you think we should just limit ourselves to those, or there are more than we need, but these seem to be the most important?
Now, Alex, you just gave some context, and I like to give mine before answering your question. Because the reason we're doing this episode is because Web3 is hard, and let's not fool ourselves. It is indeed liberating. It's messy. It's interesting, and it's hard. So you don't necessarily have to be in a DAO to feel this. Just browsing Twitter and jumping across projects and starting maybe your own thing will confirm these thoughts. Now, the five skills we're going to talk about are definitely not the only five skills you should have. They are definitely in the top of the list. They might be top five, they might not for you, but they are definitely key to understanding and building something great. Now, starting with communication, as you said, I think communication is absolutely vital in every single aspect of life. And Web3 is obviously no different. I think people in Web3 need even more communication, need some extra communication, because we're all working in different parts of the world on our computers, in our rooms. Maybe we're working as digital nomads, and we're, kind of not really often meeting each other at big events such as Dev Connect or ETH Amsterdam or any other ETH event you like. Now, working with multiple cultures across the world in different time zones is obviously very hard. So you have to take into account traditions, you have to take into account pet peeves, and without communicating your feelings towards this kind of things, and without communicating with your colleagues, it's just going to be impossible to coordinate with others and obviously have a good team relationship. Now, the way I think about working in teams is that when everyone is assigned a task, you need to do basically your task, right? But in Web3, you have to do this stuff asynchronously, right? So you have to, perhaps it's 8 a.m. in my time and it's 7 p.m. in your time. And then if I'd like to have a call with you to clarify some things on the task I'm doing currently, now you're probably not going to be very enthusiastic about that. And, obviously the other way around. So you have to do all these things at a different pace and in different times of the day. And the more diverse your team is, the harder it will be for you. So communicating is obviously important. To just try to talk to your teammates, see what fits in the team. And just as a side note, because I'm going to end my part of the answer with this one, I personally think that project managers in Web3 are actual wizards, because actually getting things done in Web3 is so hard, and you need proper skills to manage an entire team of 5, 7, maybe 10 people. So kudos to them.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what you said. And communication is one of those things that you need to master in your own personal life, more so in Web3 and DAOs, because we are dealing with very complex dynamics and multicultural teams. And culturally speaking, people have different ways of communicating. Some are more assertive, others are more reactive. And you get it can get messy sometimes, and I think if you can master the art of communication in your own life, you will do much better in Web3 as well. And it's just a good skill, right? Because you have to learn how to speak your mind in a diplomatic way without hurting other people's feelings. You have to take all of these things into account to understand that even other perspectives matter, because communication is not a thing that you just I don't know, like share your opinion on something without listening to other people. So it is bidirectional. It is very complex, and for some people it takes a lifetime to master that. It's one of those skills that you continue to develop throughout your life. And absolutely, it's a must-have in Web3 and DAOs as well. And another quality or skill that I saw the article mention is time management, right? You need the discipline. This is absolute fact, especially if you are working freelance or you are adopting the nomadic lifestyle that a lot of people choose in this current day and age. You know, with the pandemic, choosing to live in another country, you have to be very conscientious. You have to be very organized in order to accomplish your tasks, and this is something that I struggle in my own life with as well. It's a skill, especially for young people, that you must master. It's something that you need. It's something that it improves your life. And in DAOs, where you are on your own most of the time, and you know, people are expecting you to do things out of your own initiative, you have to know how to manage your time properly.
Absolutely. And what I would add is that, well, actually, two things. The first one is that, you know, Web3 is full of opportunities. And we know that you have to be 24/7 online, 24/7, just to keep up with stuff. So not necessarily having to go in depth with them, but just keeping up to date. And Web3 obviously moves at the speed of light, so you spend hours and hours on end browsing Twitter and reading newsletters, and then you need some time to implement some of the ideas you liked into your own work, and this takes a lot of time. So make a schedule in your calendar, try to stick to it, make sure you make time for your work, for sports, for going out, for hobbies, because all of these are important as well, because in an era of, you know, the highest percentage of depressed people and anxiety all around, it's very important to take time for yourself. And in order to take time for yourself, you need to manage your time properly. So besides just the work aspect of things, you need to get you need to get it done, but you also need to properly focus on yourself, because otherwise you will very likely end up trying to relax but unconsciously worry about something you haven't finished at work.
Yeah, and what's also important to mention is the idea Web3 is meritocratic, or we are trying to make it as meritocratic as possible. And time is our most important and valuable resource. And the way you invest that and the way you manage it is directly tied to your productivity and what you are able to accomplish. So the more conscientious you are and the better you plan your day, the more things you are going to get done, and ideally you will also get rewarded accordingly for that. So it's not like in a traditional company where you can put like 10-12 hours of work and maybe your paycheck is the same. So this is definitely an advantage for people that are trying to be or to work in a more fair environment. So another thing that I think is very important, and the article mentioned it as well, is that you have to know how to team build. This is directly tied to the communication skill, because then again, we are dealing here with a multicultural team, different schedules. It's very hard to get people to think together, and more so get them to work together in a productive way. So you have to know how to become friends with the people that you are working. This is very important. You have to not only work together, but interact, go to events, network, because it creates you at a regular workspace. You get this because you go to the office, you meet those people, you maybe go out for a cigar, drink a coffee, I don't know. But in Web3, it's just you and the laptop. So you have to take this into consideration.
Alex, now we have to mention that the article we're talking about is Samantha Marin's, and we're going to link this below in the description. It's an amazing article written by her. It follows five skills that she thinks are crucial for DAO contributors. Now, obviously, we're heavily influenced by it, and I highly recommend you guys to read it because it's really, really interesting and well written. She also drew her own graphics, so that was really pleasant to look at. And sort of coming back to the skill that we were talking about, team building, that's also on her list. We all know the quote, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And I sort of researched it a bit. It's actually an African proverb that's about the value of community, something we hear a lot about in Web3. And it's true. We've seen it work time and time again. Now, the majority of projects we'll work on are going to be in teams. So make the effort of building this skill, because you will also use this in other aspects of your life. Now, obviously, Web3 is very new and no one knows how to do things by the book, because there is no book. We're simply figuring things out as we go, following people on Twitter and reading their blogs, thoughts and opinions, and then interacting with them, hopefully building a team. So my advice for this is just simply get to know people, contact them, send them a text about some article you liked, some podcast you heard and you'd like to share an opinion, just anything really. Make friends and strengthen this skill, because it will definitely serve you. And the second advice I'd give is just make a leap of faith and just join a random team in a DAO you like, or a team everywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be a DAO. And by doing this, you'll very soon learn what you like and what you don't, who you click with and who you don't, who you'd rather avoid, and more importantly, why you like or dislike some things. Because going forward and changing teams, changing people will help you, because you'll know how to approach some sort of situations. And lastly, remember that in the team, you're all working for the same goal, and try solving the issue, not the argument. Don't argue the person, argue the issue.
Yeah, that's very good advice. Like your vibe definitely attracts your tribe in DAOs, and mastering this is very important. The art of communication as well. Interacting with people is knowing how to interact with people is such a valuable skill, man. Like there is this one quote that I think I heard on Ryan Mickler. It says, if you help enough people accomplish what they want, you will get what you want. So if not for if you are not working towards I don't know, common goal, out of selfish reason, you can take these reasons you can take into consideration as well, because it's an interesting way of looking at things, because ideally everybody is winning. That's what you should care about.
Alex,
In the end,
I'd just like to ask, because that's a really nice quote. I'm curious to know, what do you think the risks are for team building? Because it sounds easy, but it really isn't, right? So what could hamper the building of a team and strengthening this skill?
I think there is a risk, even in a very strong or united community, there is a risk that at some point people's perspectives change. This seems to be a law of nature as well, because we see things changing all around us and people are subject to change. So divergences of opinions and directions can happen, and they are natural. And this can hinder things. And this is like, a sheet test that you can pass or you can fail. And if you pass, you get a more united and productive group. And if it fails, it just breaks and you have to rebuild it from scratch, and maybe look into other places for people where you share common goals and values and stuff like that. So there is always the risk that something might go wrong. So yeah, I mean, just expect it, and I don't know, do your best and keep your values intact. That's my take on this. What's yours?
I think what you just said is a very clear make or break situation, and you meet these kind of situations time and time again throughout your career, and not only your career and your personal life also. I think that this type of divergences is definitely important. I would also mention, when you're building a team, you have to know each other well, because there are some people who are good at communicating and some other people who will be slower at communicating, and then they need some type of help from the maybe the leader, maybe simply the others. Now, I think communication, and especially lack of communication, can definitely hinder this skill, because you simply do not know what the other wants. You do not know what the other likes or dislikes. And whenever you try to fix things, you won't be able to, because the problem will simply not be communicated right. So I think this would be top of the list for me.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. I can't argue with that. So what you said like helps me transition into the next skill perfectly, and that is becoming autonomous. All of this like come together very nicely if you can see it. Being autonomous, what does it mean? Because we also have this word in the word DAO. So it means becoming a leader in your own life. It means becoming that kind of person that just quote unquote gets shit done. That is very enthusiastic about what it does, that it works and builds constantly on that idea. And it's just I mean, wherever you, this is from my own personal experience, whenever I meet a person that is autonomous, that is a good leader, a good communicator, man, these people are like the ultimate social butterflies. These people are the sort of persons that you want to be around with, that and that you want to build things with. So this definitely ties into the whole vibe, if you know what I mean. So I'm very curious to hear your take on this.
Now, I'd like to highlight what you said in the beginning, that these 5 skills are very highly correlated to one another. It's basically, if you master this, is basically creating a flywheel that once you get going is highly, highly beneficial, and it can hardly be stopped. Now, ironically, since we're talking about DAOs, you do need to be autonomous in a DAO. And as you said, it means being self-governed, being the leader of your actions, of your life. And this doesn't necessarily mean that everyone should be a leader in general and no one should be a follower, because it's fine to be a follower and it's fine to be a leader, but make sure that you do challenge what others are saying or doing if you see fit and have the right argument. So simply see things for yourself, and make sure that whenever you do start an argument or exchange opinions, you have the right ones on your side. Now, this may obviously create some harder discussions in any team, and people will ultimately, I would say, respect you more if you hold your ground, and this will increase the trust inside the team and lead to better results. Obviously, given that you do have some right arguments for your side of things. And there's also another important thing that you mentioned, I think, earlier in the episode. Autonomy also means being proactive, starting things yourself, volunteering to do something, and simply not being in a constant state of standby. This is how new innovative areas such as Web3 are built, and we need thinkers, we need builders, and we need leaders to advance and build a better space.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you said. And I think we have this paradigm shift that we need to go through when we join Web3. Hopefully, in the earlier stages, that we come with this mindset from Web2 and maybe even our personal lives, that we are waiting for people to tell us what to do. This is not how things work in Web3. You have an idea, go ahead, write it down, tell it to the world, tell it to the space, and see people that are interested and resonate with you come and join and want to build, show their interest in building with you. This is something that people are still failing to understand, and it's fine because we are so early and it's not a mindset that you develop right away. So we shouldn't have necessarily high expectations when it comes to this. But those people that are able to do this are just going to thrive, man. Like you maybe sometimes even you have to start a thing on your own if like you are in a bear market and people are not that interested in building because there are not a lot of money around. It's fine, just build that thing yourself. It serves as a credential. You will eventually get to know people, and if you are building something cool and it provides value to other contributors or Web3 enthusiasts, that's just the ideal case, and it's just going to take you in a very put you in a very good spot when the bull market returns or whatever. So I think we have one more that we can talk about, and this is a skill that we, like all the rest, we need to cultivate in our own personal life, and that is problem solving. Like people fail to understand what does it mean to be curious or just creative. uh, that's what it means. Problem solvers are the most creative and curious peoples, and the more curious and creative you get, the better you're just going to get at doing things, and you're going to know like a little bit of information from a lot of domains, and you can piece all of those together and get a bigger picture and a more profound understanding of things than most people are going to get.
I feel like in Web3 and crypto in general, problem solvers are the ones who are rewarded most. And problem solving, I would say, is simply a no-brainer in this combination of 5 skills we thought of, because this attitude will get you far. Because we talked about being autonomous, we talked about managing your time, we talked about communication. Well, all of these are necessary for problem solving. I would say that problem solving is a byproduct of mastering the other 4 skills. And since Web3 is so new and all, problems are literally arising everywhere. So solving them will not only maybe increase your reputation, maybe help you learn some things, maybe even get you money, but you will literally help to build a better space. And instead of not taking action and being maybe passive to an issue, simply observing it, try solving those you can. Because because we talked about team building, team members will appreciate it, and you will boost your career and learn even more from that. Alex, I'm curious, how do you think problem solving should be learned? So let's say you are not a natural problem solver. You are used to simply observing and being passive towards things. How do you think people should and could cultivate it?
Just be a good researcher, like learn to identify a problem. This is how the greatest businesses start. Even you identify a problem or something that a lot of people need, you do the research, you see how you can solve this problem, and you just go for it and start building towards it. Your first approach might not be the best, it might not solve a big part of the initial problem, but to trial and error, you find what is working, you take notes of that, and eventually you are going, just by doing things, you are just going to get even better and better and better. And in time you are able to spot patterns, so you see different types of problems, and you are able to be like, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, and it just, you enter that flow state where you just get very good at it, and you, from there, the sky is the limit, and you just become unstoppable. It's like, again, people that are problem solvers are also social butterflies as well, because they know what people need. They are able to see like what is missing and how they can build it and fix it, and you naturally you get people's appreciation and gratefulness, because overall you solve a problem and you improve their life.
I
So
would
what is your opinion?
I would add I completely agree with you. I would just add a very another insight on this, and that is, I don't necessarily believe that problem solving is absolutely about creativity. I think problem solvers are great learners and curious people. That's obvious. That's what you said. But I also think problem solving has a lot to do with executing an idea itself. It doesn't necessarily have to be yours, but the fact that you can get it done, that you can fix it, literally fix it, so not just think about it, but also do the processing needed to get it done, I think that's also very valuable for problem solvers.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to go from the planting of the thought to the reaping, to the part where you take action. Absolutely. But in order to find those solutions, you have to think about them, and this requires a decent degree of creativity, in my opinion. So all in all, these are very good skills that people need to cultivate, including ourselves. I know we are both working on those. We are not perfect, we are very young, but the fact that we are looking into this is good enough for starters. And it takes a lot of time, guys. Like, don't get discouraged when it comes to this. You have to be consistent. You have to see when you are not doing those things, and identify why you are not doing them, and just get yourself back on track. Discipline, the fight with discipline is something that we all struggle with in our own lives. So maybe we can all watch some more Jocko Willing or stuff like that, in order to make and get things better. So also, what we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, and we are going to reiterate again, and is that we should not limit to those as well, to this. And guys, if you have any skill or quality that you think should be on the list, leave it in the comments down below. We are very eager to hear your opinions on this and how you are working towards implementing those in your life. So I think, Matej, this was a great episode. We can wrap this up. Again, cheers to Samantha Marin for writing this article. It is in the description down below. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and see you guys on the next episode.